Not quite there. I was almost there. Good morning, Charles.
Good morning, Phil.
How the hell are you?
Awake. That's an important thing.
Special of the day.
Oh yeah, go get a thing, Liz.
Go get a thing. Give me the thing.
Or Vin or somebody.
There's one right in front of us here. Look, just walk over here and show it off. Boom.
Okay.
And then we got to show that too.
Is that reset?
Not yet.
All right, fix it. Better start running, Charles.
I'm going to put free lessons all over the place.
Well, I can kick that thing right over. Good. Oh, I didn't even say good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to 12 Days of Christmas. Day, I don't even know what today is.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Today is 10% off of Mossberg, so today's the 16th. If you are a member, you can take advantage of any of the 12-day deals. You should have gotten an email from us. If you didn't get an email from us, send an email to Charles at therangestl.com and say, I didn't get my email. And now, just send Charles like I love yous and all that stuff. It's lots of just spam his inbox,
type
please.
his name in all caps.
All caps.
Charles.
So let's see. Tomorrow we got 10% off of rifles. Wednesday is my favorite day, half off classes. The 19th, 1911s are 11% off. 20th, we got 10% off all suppressors. 21st, 10% off all shotguns. 22nd, 10% off all Smith products. 23rd, extra $10 on every 50 for gift cards. And then 24th is all sales except for that one.
Just you.
That's me. You're correct. That is me. I embrace it. Anyway, that's what we got going on for 12 days.
Just about.
We're waiting on Charles right now to get our spinny wheel of death figured out. I mean, not spinny. The spinny wheel of awesome prizes.
He's ready.
He's ready. Okay, Liz, go spin. Let's see. So you can come in. How many of these can you do a day, Charles? You can do one?
One per day.
One per day. Okay. So Liz, this is your one chance. Let's see what you got. What'd you win?
Free lane.
You won a free lane. Good job, Liz. Charles, why is this sideways? You broke it.
No, because someone broke it.
There you go.
There.
Now it's fixed.
Not really.
Oh my gosh. Hold on.
That's every day. Don't screw it up, Elizabeth. There you go. Gordon, good morning. You just broke the rules.
It sounds like the price is right. It
Straight
reminds me of
fire.
my
You
child
got
letter.
20. You have to
Pay extra 20.
pay extra 20% on optics since you rolled twice or spun twice. Is it rolling or spinning?
Wait.
Spinning.
Okay.
No, that's rolling.
Why?
You rolled it.
It's rolling on a bearing.
Oh no. Oh no.
I mean,
You spun it. It's
what,
rolling.
does it have to move to roll?
It's both.
I don't think it has to move to roll. I mean,
Spinning.
it is. I agree that it's spinning.
It's not spinning. You spun it.
Can you roll? I mean, okay. I guess if you ask the question, can you roll a wheel? I mean, I guess that's right.
Or did you spin the wheel?
Both.
That's spinning.
Martin, good morning. Gordon, good morning.
No, it's spinning on a bearing.
No, it's rolling on a bearing. You
Why
spun
can't it be?
Is it a roller bearing?
Yes.
How do you know?
How do you know?
I built that.
Liar.
Would you get on the damn camera?
I'm
You
just
can
here.
have your argument on screen. not
I'm
us.
just here to cause
What did you
chaos.
label it?
Rolling.
Rolling versus spinning. No. I labeled it,
Show you rolling.
I don't remember. What the hell did I call it? I called it
This was
currency versus dollars. Currency versus proficiency. That's what I called it. Currency versus proficiency.
Oh wait, let's have our second argument of the day.
So what does that... I mean, I think we've already had like 12 arguments.
We have.
today.
Well, I meant on the live.
So,
Never ending.
what's better?
More better.
Proficiency.
What are we talking about?
Currency versus proficiency.
I'm
Could
leaving.
currency help you get proficient?
Yes, by buying training with your currency.
Good. Well, I'd say currency can help you learn how to be proficient. It's up to you to become proficient.
Okay, first define currency. In the way that we mean it, not as dollar bills.
Being current,
What does that mean?
up to
Like,
date. Like,
That was priceless.
you said that you, what are you talking about?
He turned away from us. Said I was back in the head.
William. Explain to us your frustrations. Oh,
What is explain currency? What does that mean?
I just did.
What did you say?
Being current.
Being, did I say being?
I really want to just like slam my coffee cup on the ground right now.
Do you know how many definitions say the exact word in the definition?
Tell me the definition of currency. Being current. Anyway, so what
Up to date.
What we're talking about is that
It's relevant right now.
you're
It's,
in the context of the shooting world, right? That's big picture. That's what we're talking about here. And what?
it's currently wet outside. It's
I agree. Thank you, Gordon.
We've had so many. We already had a couple arguments in the back office about this, and Liz decided that we should no longer have this argument in the back office. We should do it on the live.
Always a good time. Always.
Okay, so let's just put it all in context. I hate that noise so much.
Oh, do you?
Oh, do you?
Oops. I did not realize that.
Phil is currently bothering Liz.
So, currency. When we talk about the average person that comes in here, what does that mean? It's just a person who comes in and shoots their 50 rounds, 100 rounds, and goes away, and maybe they don't have any specific goals. They're just coming in and shooting their 100 rounds, we'll say, just for an easy.
Staying current.
Yes, they understand how to use the gun. And they're doing it safely and all that jazz. Proficiency is being able to perform tasks that you don't necessarily have to think about, right? When you're presented with the task, you can just perform it without having to put a lot of true thought into it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And we had a conversation about this the other day when we were talking about memorizing something versus understanding something, to where you don't have to, you're not memorizing steps of something. You're actually able to problem solve and understand the big picture of something, to where if you are put in a different environment, or you're not standing in front of a static target, and things change, you're not going through a memorization process that could foil you in a situation. You can actually problem solve and make accommodations necessary to overcome. So we
Yes. What happened?
I was distracted. I was looking at Jeff trying to tell me to show my chest more. Then my mom showed up.
I was
didn't want to do it.
Then he's like,
I-
yes, no.
I was like, okay, Phil, or okay, Jeff. But then my mom showed up. So sorry, Becky.
I think I was waiting for you to answer someone too. That could have been awkward for sure.
Yes. I mean, is what it is. So what's better?
Okay, so there's a conundrum in here. Being a jack of all trades, like a little bit about a lot of things, and let's just
I just finish, and then I'll try to remember
We're gonna keep it.
my argument.
It must not be that important. We're going to try to keep it just gun stuff. Okay, so do you want to be a jack of all trades, or do you want to focus heavily on, just say it. Just
So, well, what does jack of all trades mean? Like, do you want you're trying to say, do you want to be you want to master one thing very, very well, or a jack of all trades and you do all those things marginally, right?
Let's use the example pistol, rifle, shotgun.
Okay.
Okay, so do you shoot? Do you spend most of your time training with a handgun, a rifle, a shotgun? Do you dabble in all of them? Do you have the ability to proficiently run all three of those tools without using that mental focus, that mental process? Are you stretching yourself too thin learning all of these things, or do you need to focus more on one thing? Things like that. So that's a tough thing to consider.
It is, but here's the thing. Here's my problem with that statement in general is, what if you're just trying to master the difference between a handgun and a revolver, or a bolt-action gun and a semi-auto rifle, or a pump-action shotgun and a semi-automatic shotgun, or a bolt-action shotgun? Like, where does the jack of all trades come versus the master of, maybe you're a master of firearms and everything out there, all the full autos, all the everything, you just know it all. Well, now are you a jack of all trades and a master of none?
What I'm not trying to put like very specific guidelines on these things, because everybody's level of comprehension is going to be drastically different. And there's other things in life to think about too. It's being a master of firearms, and especially like if you go into like history and stuff. I know nothing about firearms history. That is probably my weakest point in firearms. I know firearms very well, but when it comes to the history and some of the older platforms and things like that, that's not my thing. But what I have done is focus my attention on the things that are directly applicable to what I want the tool for. If you're a history buff and you're learning about firearms to teach other people about them, and the history and all that is important to that part of it. Like you're a military historian or something, and you need to know these things. Like that's something that you would want to master. I want to teach people how to shoot handguns well. So to me, that's not as important of things for me to retain. So I don't spend a lot of time on it. I spend most of my time on understanding violence and body language and other things, because that stuff is more important to me.
So I get that. I just think that you got to be careful with the statement of you're a master of all trades, or a jack of all trades and a master of none, because that doesn't have any definition.
But I didn't finish the quote specifically for that reason. I don't like the master of none thing, because I think you can know a lot about a lot of things. What is a master anyway?
Yeah, it's all in context, right?
It is,
it's all in context of what you're talking about. At the the person who walks in here that's never touched a gun before, it is a huge disservice to them to throw down a rifle, pistol, and a shotgun and say, I'm going to show you how to use all three of these things. That's silly, right? Can you do that? Sure. Could you get somebody to shoot them safely? Sure. Are they going to learn anything? Nope. Most likely not a single thing.
But they could.
They
over time.
Yes.
Over time. It takes time, but all three platforms, the idea that if you try to learn all three, you're not going to be able to do it because there's too much differences between all of them. So it's not worth it. You can learn all three platforms and become proficient with all three platforms if you try.
You got like half your nose in the screen.
Oh, that takes up the whole screen.
So
I think it's important to understand that getting good with one platform is absolutely awesome to do, and it's a rewarding thing to get confident with one platform, but not believing that you couldn't do it with all three, because you can get good with all three platforms and more. You can. You just have to apply yourself. And the bigger question is you wanting to.
Yeah, for sure.
Is there a real reason for you to? Whatever your own reasons
personal.
are.
Yep.
Right. Whether that's defense, in the firearms world, defensive or hunting or just entertainment or whatever. Sure. So, in the context of what we're talking about here, currency versus proficiency.
So, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna switch subjects a little bit, but what's the staying current enough? Like, what is enough? And is it enough for you to come in and take your CCW class and qualify?
No.
No.
I mean, that's an easy one.
Of
The
course.
answer is no.
Of course.
And
Trying to figure out what is enough, that's a tough question.
You don't know what you don't know at that level a lot of times. And a lot of people think that coming in for a CCW qual and passing the qualification and the instructor giving you your certificate at the end, that's like, well, they believe in me. They know more than I do, so therefore I'm good. And it's not that we don't believe in you. And we all stress this. It's like, hey, your training don't stop here. This is just a small chunk that you're only going to remember 10% of this in 5 hours from now. So, we stress this a lot. That's one of the reasons why we offer some of the things that we do with our training, to come back and learn some things more deeply. But dive deeper into it, because everything's a sacrifice. You're sacrificing something. So if you sacrifice your training and say it's good enough, and God forbid you ever had to use it, you're sacrificing your life, potentially, your freedom, your happiness, your life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what you're sacrificing. That is literally what you live for. So understanding the gravity of the tool that you have and making that decision to dive deeper and not just be current, not just stay current, pushing yourself to grow and pushing yourself to learn new things. Things change in the world all the time, whether it's technology with the firearms, whether it's the law, whether it's you should be changing over time. You got to understand yourself. And if you don't understand yourself and how you've changed over time, whether you've had injuries or your emotional intelligence is different. I mean, you have different people to protect. You have a new house. You got different tools. There's so many things that change. For you to just come in here and take a CCW qual and 10 years from now be like, okay, maybe I'll go shoot 50 rounds here and there at the range. Like, you got to grow. You got to get better and stay up on this stuff to continue.
So I had a conversation with a guy, and this is unfortunately relatively typical. He came in and needed his CCW qual form from 5.5, 6 years ago, right? He let his CCW expire, and the only way that he could renew it is reapply for it, is to have his original certificate, which he didn't have. So he came in to ask if we could get him one. I said, hey, just so you know, you can take this class again, and it doesn't cost you anything. So it's something that we offer. And he's like, oh, no, I'm good. I was like, well, have you done any training since you took a CCW? Oh, no. I don't even carry all that often, but I just need to be able to renew my permit. So you don't do this very often at all. It's been at least 5 years, most likely since you even shot your gun, much less learned how to draw it or just to shoot under any sort of stress whatsoever. And you just want the piece of paper because it's good enough. That makes you current and not proficient. That's not the way to do it. Oh my goodness. And we hear it far too often. I could not even tell you, and I know you guys hear the same thing. You ever do any training? Oh yeah, I got my CCW permit. Oh, what else have you done? Oh, that's all I need. I don't even need to do that.
I don't even need it.
Yeah, which is true. So at least you went above and beyond the super bare minimum. But that's something I say in my CCW class, is that you are meeting a bare minimum standard to be able to carry a gun. That's not good enough. You need to be better than that. Same when we do qualifications. I'm sure you guys do. I harp hard on people who pass the qual, but don't excel at the qual. And I tell them, you're not good enough. You're good enough to meet the standard, whatever that standard is, but you're not performing well enough to where you should be comfortable. you should want to be better than you are. And that goes for everything. Always you should be trying to improve. Because if you shot a perfect qual today and you were under tight time constraints and your draws were really good and you took 6 months off of shooting, are your draws, if you don't draw, how often do you dry fire?
Every day.
Okay. If you took 6 months off and didn't shoot a gun, you would still know how everything worked and you'd still be able to be safe and all that stuff. Do you think that you could go downstairs and do 3 shots in under a second?
No.
Yeah.
If it didn't take him so long without shooting, he would totally accept that challenge.
Yeah.
That would be painful for me.
Because of my abundance of skill, do I believe I could get warmed up pretty damn quick
Yep.
to pulling it off?
For sure.
Probably.
Absolutely.
But that's because of skill in the past.
Yep.
That's built up.
Yeah, and you
Without that, wouldn't happen.
do you think if you took 6 months off that you'd still be probably more efficient and proficient than most of our first-time defensive handgun one
I
students?
believe so, yes.
Yeah, I believe so too. Because you've got a high level of skill. I lived in the skydiving world for a long time, and currency was something that we stressed a lot because people could have a ton of jumps. You could have tens of thousands of jumps, but if you hadn't jumped in a year or 2 or 3, sure, you might know how to do it, but it could be more dangerous. And we would always do warm-up jumps. We'd go jump first and not do any sort of formations or anything like that, just to go through and practice stuff, because there's a pretty high consequence if you screw up when you're skydiving. So currency is part of proficiency, right? It's not mutually exclusive necessarily. Sorry, currency is still good, but if you're striving just for currency, I think that you can fall short.
And then there's the other side of that is, you get to a high standard, you get to a high level of proficiency, and then do you diminish your own checklist of sorts? Do you diminish your own apprehensions because you've been doing it for so long? I mean, like, what is it? What's the most dangerous person in the skydiving world? The one that's most likely to hurt themselves? Well, that's probably a little bit different because that's not complacency. That's more like taking risks.
Yeah. So in the skydiving world, who we see get hurt most are highly skilled people that are
Taking risks.
Trying to do the next big thing and trying to land super fast. It's not uncommon to, as a student, to land and crash, but you're landing at 8, 10, 12 miles an hour, where somebody who's a high performer is flying a high performance parachute and they're landing at 30 or 40 miles an hour. The consequences are different when you make a mistake. And that's where we see most people die in the skydiving world, is not because their parachute doesn't open. They're flying a fully functional parachute and they fly themselves right in the ground trying to push too hard.
People that make mistakes in the gun world are oftentimes people that are complacent. And whether you have a high level of skill or not, that Dunning-Kruger effect, where they feel like they have a high level of skill. If you have a high level of skill and you are very proficient with your gun, you don't get complacent. That is, in the gun world, when you see someone start to handle their gun negligently, you start to, they don't have the skills required to handle their guns. When you start getting complacent with your gun and start not worrying about checking your chamber and not taking those safety precautions and start treating it like it's a toy, that's when bad things happen. So because in whatever level of proficiency you're at, don't ever get complacent. It's not worth it in any way, shape, or form.
The one thing I want to touch on, I think, touching on Don's comment, because we see that all too often in the private security world, the law enforcement world, the private security or the private sector world, the medical world. That comment, I think, is annoyingly true.
Say it out loud.
What is it? Read it.
I don't get paid to be an overachiever. I get paid to meet the minimum standards. And that's the reality of it. It made me think when I read that, what is my minimum standard for here at the range? If I pass the employee qual that we have, do I have to do more to be able to teach a defensive handgun 1 class?
No.
I don't necessarily have to. I could just call that good enough and be fine. And as long as I can pass the employee stuff, then I'm good. I don't have to train every single day with my gun as long as I can meet that minimum standard, which just hurt my brain to think about.
Yeah.
It hurt my brain to think about that aspect, that I could just stop doing the training I do. I don't necessarily have to do it to be able to accomplish my job. I don't have to. I choose to because I want to, and I see the value in it.
You remember that day that you
It-
felt privileged for being able to
Yes.
to shoot at the range every day?
Yeah, I do
because
that.
you work here and you get to go downstairs and shoot whenever you want.
That's true.
That's because you don't put in minimum effort.
That's
You are
accurate.
here because you put in effort to be better than what you needed to be.
Yeah.
And you get afforded more things. You get access to more things, and you have, those are not just privileges, those are earned things that you've,
But how many people live in that space?
well, they
No,
need
not-
to.
Yeah, not enough.
many?
That's what our job is, to empower you to be there, to get into that space. Say it, boss man.
So in this case, right, you're bettering yourself, but in the process of bettering yourself, you better other people, right?
Yeah.
You know that there's people, students, that are relying on you to help them get to the next level. And how many of your students now are as good or better than you were 4 years ago?
Multiple.
Yeah, lots.
Many.
Right? So if you don't keep trying to improve, and that's awesome. If one of my students can go downstairs and kick my butt in
give me a
in a
run for
match,
my
or whatever,
money, it makes me
that's
happy.
freaking cool. I'm not saying this to say that I don't want anybody to beat me, because I get beat all the damn time, and that's totally awesome. But if we can't keep upping our game to help somebody else up their game, that's no good. I had a fantastic conversation with a gentleman in a class last week, 2 weeks ago, that he was a pretty high level performer in the law enforcement world. And he's been out of that game for a little while. We talked about him potentially going back into that game, and he said, I can't do it. He said, could I get on in the department? Absolutely. Could I, pass the shooting quals and pass the physical and stuff? Yeah. But I'm not good enough. I know that I've slowed down. I haven't been performing at that level for a long time, to where the person standing to the left and to the right of me, or in front of or behind me, could rely on me to not fail. That's a huge statement, right? That's not his ego saying that I need to be the best of the best. For me, that's him saying I need to be the best for you and for you, right? That if the rest of the team can't rely on him, sure, he can meet the bare minimum standards. That's not good enough. The bare minimum standard is not good enough. It just isn't.
I had a student in class, a lady, that said the realization for her to come in and learn how to shoot a gun and use it defensively was because she didn't feel that the burden should solely rely on her husband. She thought that was selfish of her to only expect him to be the protector, and I definitely understand traditional values, but he's definitely not always going to be around. And how much better off are you if you can take your own, take responsibility for your own safety and be prepared together for your whole family? Like that's huge. And I think that can help some people resonate with that a little bit better, because some people are more giving in nature that way, that they if they're doing it for someone else, then it's a little easier of a pill to swallow. Like, okay, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to be better for somebody else. You should value yourself enough to want that for yourself as well. But I think that can help you get started, at least to see, there's another side there.
Go watch the video that we shared from Active Self-Protection. It's a terrible video, but a great video where a lack of skill got an armed professional killed. He did not have the skill to handle the task at hand, and with some very minor improvements, he could have had the skill. I certainly don't know his background or whatever, but my guess is going to be that he was meeting the bare minimum standard, And in the fight, it wasn't good enough. It just wasn't.
And should you be comfortable in training? Nope.
Oh, heck no.
Training should be uncomfortable.
It should be tough.
That's the place to experience the stress, and it's not just quantity, it's quality. You know, when you come and shoot a box of ammo, you know, every Tuesday at 10:30, what are you working on? Work on something that you're not good at. Work on something that is a challenge to you. And if you need help with it, obviously come in and learn the skill and then go practice it. But if you're just constantly doing things that you're comfortable with, you're never going to break out of that comfort zone. And if, God forbid, you're ever under stress, you're not going to be able to perform in the way that you need to, because you don't have that you've never had that push to stress yourself out a little bit. If you're in class, you know, you get stressed out. You're amongst your peers, you're learning new things. Learning things is freaking hard. And if you can experience a little discomfort in training and lean into that, that's huge. We've been doing, you know, we had our second competition night with Lady Sentinel, and it didn't fill up that time. The very first time we did it in August, it filled up right away. And then the second time, we've had lots of new members since then, and it didn't quite fill up. And 10 ladies showed up and freaking kicked butt. And so I scheduled the next one for February, and it was sold out in like 3 hours, like done. And that is hard for someone who is just getting into the gun world, or maybe you've been in it for a little bit, maybe you've been in it for a long time. I bet being in the gun world for a long time and going into a competition is probably harder than being fairly new, because it's challenging your ego and all the skills that you have worked so hard on. We're like, now do it in a stressful environment. Now do it under pressure while you have someone, you know, running a timer on you, and you have your peers watching you, and you had an expectation for yourself. Test yourself out in those environments. Come to our matches here. We do IDPA, we do two-gun. Like, come test yourself out here, and understand what you need to work on, because you're only going to get better from that, and you're only competing against yourself.
That's why we see lots of people who are high experienced, cops, military, whatever, that don't take classes or don't show up to matches, because they
Don't
want to
realize that their skills aren't there.
that they're not that great.
They can say they're there,
Yeah.
but they don't want to test it, because if they fail, then they realize they have no argument that my skills are just as good. Like, hell,
do it.
Was it last week? Yeah, I think it was last week, the IDPA match we had at the beginning of the month. I had a rough day.
Did you?
Had a rough day. So if you did not know, in IDPA there are targets that are no-shoot targets, the targets you're not supposed to hit. We call them grandma.
You shot grandma?
I smoked grandma. First stage. And so I knew, because I did that, there was no way I was going to be in the top leaderboards for that match. It's a monthly match, so it doesn't matter too much in the grand scheme of things, but it's still nice to be up there. So I knew when I did that, there was no way I was going to be up in that top because of that mistake. So I decided from that point, the rest of the match, I pushed myself way harder than I should have. And that was on purpose. I knew I was pushing the edge of failure, which I did. I shot grandma a couple more times. Had some more mistakes that happened, bigger mistakes that cost me more time, but that wasn't the point. The point was, I knew I was out of the running. So instead of trying to play catch up and all this other stuff, play it safe and be easy, I pushed myself even harder to work on just speed of running, the movement, moving me faster, target transitions faster. I just worked on everything else. Even though I was sacrificing accuracy and a bunch of other stuff because of it, I used it as a way to train, since I knew I made a big mistake at the beginning. So the actual competitive side, that was already lost for me. So I might as well have some fun and get some training out of it. And it was a jolly good time. It was a jolly good, minus the shooting grandma thing. And Mom, calm down.
I mean,
I've seen lots of comments up there. I don't know what I can't read them, but
Lou says, not going to get good unless you can face your failures as a learning experience instead of a black mark. Don says it all goes out the window when that beeping brain fart box goes off. And Peggy, but you still shot Grandma.
Yeah.
Good job, Vincent.
Sorry.
But I've experienced this in grappling too, and I'm watching my son go through the same process. Is when you're learning new moves and you're supposed to be drilling these new moves, and you just want to revert back to it's a fight, and I just want to just go. But if you go for the moves that you're supposed to be working on, you're opening yourself up to vulnerability because you don't know it quite well yet, and it doesn't come to you very naturally yet. But it's never going to unless you actually practice it and have those moments of, oh, it caught me this way. Like, okay, I got caught this way because I opened up my, yeah. And I'm watching my son, he's done jiu-jitsu for a couple years and now he's getting into wrestling. And I'm seeing the pride come out because he's amongst coaches that are really pushing him now and saying like, I want you to try your freaking best and I want you to try hard. It's okay if you fail. We're right here to help you learn from that mistake and to keep going. And I have seen a huge shift in him, and it is incredible because when you completely own what you're doing and you say, I am going to try as hard as possible to do what I'm doing, and I'm just going to do it. I'm going to try this new thing. I'm going to push myself beyond my comfort zone, and I'm going to work on this new skill. It's going to be hard. And then you fail at it. You only have to blame yourself. It's like you can't say, well, I didn't put in all my effort, so of course I'm going to lose. You say that I put in my whole effort and I still lost. That is a bigger challenge to your ego, and that's much harder to accept. But there is no better growth than that. You do not want comfort in training.
Yeah.
You want to push yourself.
My son's going through a similar thing with wrestling in his second year wrestling. And we had a great conversation on Saturday. He had a great tournament, but he lost one match, lost the points, and we've talked about it multiple times that if you lose, that's okay, as long as you're putting in the work and you're trying really hard, and you can learn from the mistakes you made. And we're watching his videos, and he's like, yeah, I went for this move, and I hooked my leg the wrong way, and I just rolled off of him right on my back, and he got points for that. And that's a huge moment for him to know that the next time I go for this, don't do it the same way, do it the right way. He did it the wrong way that time. And the fact that he lost, it is what it is, as long as you learn from it. They say in jiu-jitsu, there is no winning and losing. There's only learning and learning,
Heck yeah.
right? If you lose the fight because you have to tap. I had great freaking rolls this morning at the gym. And I got my butt whooped by one of the guys who just was exploiting all of my weaknesses. And it was great to sit down with him and talk about it afterwards. Like, hey, you were doing great here. However, you exposed your arm in this spot, and that's when I tried to rip it off and beat you in the face with it. It's all a learning thing, right? I can't get mad and start slamming on the mat because I lost. I slap hands with him, tell him thank you, and I learn from it. You got to do that.
Trying to have a serious conversation with you guys while I'm reading the
Tell a bit
comments.
about Vinny's chest hair.
I'm reading that. Oh,
Kevin,
God.
good freaking morning, sir. It was good seeing you the other day.
Oh, I'm dying. That was training for me to keep my composure.
All right, I don't know how long we've been rambling, but we've been rambling a really long time. So
It's been a minute.
Do you want to keep going, or do you want to?
No, I think we covered most of it, but
We had the important stuff.
Get better, be good, choose what you want to be good at, and work on it. Go watch the video that we shared from Active Self-Protection. I think it was yesterday that we shared it. Again, it's a terrible video, but it's a great video with good lessons to learn. And they do a good job of breaking down draw times. And, if he would have had this bare minimum, what he says is what should be the minimum standard for a concealed carry of a 2-second draw, he would have been fine. 2 seconds is still a relatively slow draw. It's probably faster. I'm going to say it is.
it's average.
Faster than average.
It is.
It's
I
faster
bet.
than average. It's
I bet
average for somebody who practices
Yes,
drawing from a whole
it's pretty slow for somebody who really works at it, but I bet that's well
average.
faster than average. especially from concealment. And when you start putting concealment in really weird spots like the small of the back, all that does is add time. I see comments popping up. Thankfully, I can't read them because Vinny's having a hard time.
Kevin did say something to you, but Kevin hearts you.
Aw, thanks, Kevin.
He used a real heart, not like one of the emoji hearts.
I don't know how to do this. How do you do this?
Well, you got to make it like a real heart, and which is not.
Isn't it just a circle?
There.
Yeah, there you go.
There's a real heart.
Yeah.
It's a nice circle.
There you go. That's a nice circle.
Peggy will be here soon. She's coming in town.
What?
Peggy's coming in
Hi,
town.
Peggy.
What?
Yeah, come in and say
when
hi.
are we going to breakfast?
I don't know how long Peggy's gonna be here. I know she's coming for Christmas, but I don't know how long she's
Well,
gonna be
now
here.
that we know this, Peggy, let's make that happen.
Yes, it's a date.
Yes.
All right. I don't even know where I was. I got lost in my loaf for Kevin. You guys need something, come see us. 14803 Manchester Road in beautiful Baldwin, Missouri. That's some gang signs. I probably did. That's okay. It's okay. 12 days is going on. We got sales happening all over the place in here. So if you're a member, you can get all the sales. If you're not a member, today is what? 10% off of Mossberg's?
Yep.
I think.
And you can spin the wheel.
You can spin the wheel.
Somebody
one
has
time.
to watch you.
Yes. Yeah. Don't come in and just spin it. You get one of the employees to come watch it. You can win all sorts of cool different stuff.
It's
different
only
discounts
the day that you spin it, though. You can't take it away
Yeah,
with you.
you can't say I won 10% off of Smith & Wesson and come back in 6 months and get it. Nope, you have to buy one today. So, that's all we got. We're done. We're leaving. You guys stay safe.
Dawn told her to. Oh my god, that's perfect. She spun the wheel and your body blocked it perfectly in the video.
Good.
It's okay. The noise is what matters.
I don't even know where else.
Stay
Stay
safe.
safe. Be nice to one another, and we'll catch you soon.
Oh, it wasn't
Later.
good.
Bye.
Bye, Mom.